The EPP Group has always been at the forefront of discussing migration, both on a national level, but also on a European level. And it's about time that we break the current deadlock between the institutions and find solutions. And this is what we propose to do as a group. What this paper seeks to do is map out our group's position on where we would like the EU to go on migration and asylum in the current years. Its basic principle underlying everything that is written in it is solidarity. Solidarity that is tangible, that is meaningful, that would make sure that every single member state plays a part. What we have seen so far is that member states can abdicate from their responsibility. They can say, look, I'm far away from the Mediterranean, I'm far away from a border with a third country, so I won't do anything. That clearly has to stop. And what we have agreed on is that member states have to chip in, because this is a global problem that requires a global solution. Same, this is a European challenge that requires a European solution. We also go further in making sure that we understand the role that Europe plays in the world. It reminds everybody that we are all signatories to the Geneva Convention on Refugees, and therefore the protection of life is sacrosanct. We also reaffirm the fundamental principles that we are fair with those who are eligible for protection, that we are firm with those who are not, and that we are harsh with those who prey on the most vulnerable. We understand that the Commission will be presenting its plan, its pact in the coming weeks, and we are ready to go with our negotiating basis, with our MEPs who would like to legislate in such an important matter, in order for us to send to the citizens that the most important issue that dominated last year's European Parliament elections is really featuring in our day-to-day legislative work here. If there is one thing that brings the whole of the EPP together, is the protection of external borders and the complete integrity of the Schengen area. Why? Because we can only continue to enjoy the freedoms of movement within our area if the external borders are secure. Once we do that, then the level of trust between member states increases, and we make sure that all procedures for the application of asylum are harmonized across the external border. What we are also discussing is something that is not new. Can we externalize the application for asylum to outside the European Union borders? Can third countries be involved in this process? Can we make sure that we identify genuine refugees outside our borders and give them direct protection? How can we distinguish between those migrants who come in for protection and those migrants who come in for work? How can we allow member states to continue to determine themselves the gaps in their labour markets and be able to fill those gaps with migrants? How can we make sure that, again, those persons who are vulnerable do not fall in the cracks? And how do we make sure that abuse is not rampant across our union? Everything that we have legislated so far, which talks about our external borders and the way people move across the external borders, needs to continue to be reinforced. That's why we have pushed for an ETIAS, an entry-exit system, to make sure that we do have the 10,000 border guards before the deadline that we have given ourselves, because of the ongoing crises that we see at our external borders.
The worst thing that's happening in this crisis is that cynical smuggling networks use the vulnerability of people to make a lot of money. It's $1 billion industry. And the only way we can really fight them is to work together with Europol, Eurojust, the European Border and Coast Guard, and the authorities of the countries of origin and transit to fight these networks. At the same time, it means that we need to prevent people from departing the southern side of the Mediterranean towards the European Union, because only if we prevent them from doing that and we offer legal ways for actual refugees to come into the European Union, then we can break this business model. Stopping illegal migration starts at the beginning, and this is in the countries of origin and transit. We need to cooperate much more with these countries to, first of all, prevent economic migrants from risking their own lives trying to cross a very dangerous crossing of the Mediterranean, arriving in the European Union without any perspective on asylum. As we see, almost 60% of people requesting asylum in the European Union are denied. We need to do more to prevent these people from making a dangerous journey, and we need to be more efficient in sending those who have received a negative decision back to their countries of origin. We need the cooperation and the enforced cooperation with the European Border and Coast Guard. We need stronger cooperation at the European level to make sure member states tackle these challenges together instead of every member state trying to sort it out on its own. And only then we can achieve this. And we need this. We need this first and foremost to be able to safeguard the energy and the budgets we need to take care of those real refugees that are fleeing war and persecution.
When we talk about EU-Africa, we have for too long distinguished between development aid, for example, our neighborhood policy and our migration strategies. All those have to come together. And when we talk about how we help our African partners and our African neighbors, we need to continue to think along the lines of more for more. And therefore, what we expect from our partners as well is that when we grant assistance, that comes hand in hand with cooperation on the return and reception of their own nationals. We reiterate that we do not accept Turkey's exploitation of the most vulnerable people on the planet in some sort of geopolitical power game. And therefore, we'll continue to hold Turkey to its obligations, just as we, as the European Union, have upheld ours. I am really proud of what the EPP Group has done on this paper. It is serious, it is visionary, it is pragmatic, and brings together all the partners to the table.